Where's that, Andrea, that volume?
Like when after you click live and it finally shows up and you can see like that it's going on YouTube, on the bottom of that picture, you'll just turn that volume down.
Yeah, it's still feeding, so.
Yeah, once that eventually.
There it says it's connected now.
So basically YouTube starts recording before I can see it on my screen and adjust the volume properly. So that's, we'll be with everybody in just a moment. We're still setting up here, trying to get the live portion. Andrea, it's not moving.
It shows on my screen live on YouTube.
It's just now filling in. Thank you. Where's that, Andrea, that volume?
Okay, so yes, on that, I was playing live, I was trying to play volume. Shows up and you can see like that it's going on YouTube. On the bottom of that picture, you'll just turn that volume down.
Yeah, it's still feeding, so.
Yeah, once that eventually.
That's the volume. You have to turn There it it. says it's
Where is it? Mini theater, full screen.
So basically
Live.
YouTube
Here,
starts
this one.
recording before I.
There you go.
Got it, thank you. Okay. Now I'm going back to you. Okay. Well, we are now ready. I'm going to like to call the May 21st meeting to order. It takes a minute to get started. I apologize, but if everybody would join me in a salute to the flag, I would appreciate it. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic
For which
one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty, and justice for all. All right. So we have first tonight, our first order of business is to, now everybody knows we're on our Zoom schedule, which is, we're going to go through, the idea is to have meetings go fairly quickly and then send people home and keep them out of the building. So we are working that governor's order, we think properly. The first thing I'd like to do is ask for somebody to make a motion to approve the minutes from April 16th.
I will make that motion.
Or a second?
Second.
All in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
Okay, the minutes are approved. Thank you. First order of business tonight, or really before we get to the order of business, we have a special presentation and a special guest, a resident, two residents actually. We have Peter Krulowich and Mike McPartland who are here to talk to us tonight, and we're interested obviously in hearing what they have to say. So at this point, I'm going to turn that over to Peter Krulowich and Mike McPartland. Is he still there? I can see him. There he is.
I don't see the other participants. So Mike, obviously jump in if I say anything that we don't agree with, or if you have some different or better ideas.
Fair enough, Peter.
There we go. I met with Mike and Perry Gusikoff, I guess about a month ago, and we talked about the library question. I had been on the committee to look at the Beekman Library situation. And what we think is that it's time to see whether we can begin an effort to basically form a 501(c)(3), a nonprofit corporation, and raise money and plan for the possibility of our own library. I would emphasize this is the first step in a rather long journey, and there'll be a lot of different opinions and directions, but a couple of things seem very clear to us. One is that we're paying Beekman Library $80,000.
For all of them, all four of them.
That's one. Here are a few things. That's one. Two, we met I guess about a year and a half ago now, when we had the library committee with Paul Mays, who's a terrific architect. I think he's the Boston Spa or somewhere upstate. He came down, he looked at the Time War buildings. He showed us a presentation of a variety of different ideas and libraries that he's done. He gave us a very rough estimate of what construction of the library would cost. It may be helped by the fact that we have a handicap access space in Time War that we think would work very well for a library. But he said that he thought that a budget number of $250,000 would be a realistic estimate of what it might cost to build a library on our own premises. I'm well aware of the issues that come up when we have our own library, the idea of our own payroll, hiring people and so forth. But of course, the benefit of that is that they would be Unionville residents, and they would our librarian and whatever other employees we might have. So we have an interesting opportunity in front of us. I believe that we should have a library. Pine Plains has half the population we do, and they have a library. And with 4,500 people at the mercy of Beekman Library, it seems like it would be a good thing to pursue. And the way to pursue it, as we see it, is to start a fundraising campaign to see whether we can't raise the money necessary to move ahead with this project, to meet with Paul Mays, and to have any other people that want to join in this effort be a part of it. Mike, does that summarize generally what your thinking is also?
It is, Peter. It's a pretty good summation of the meeting we had and the discussion we had. Just by way of introduction, when Peter had called me and asked me, I was thrilled to meet with him and thrilled to talk about it, because it's something that I've been following pretty closely as well. My wife and I live here in Unionville with three of our four kids. Very, very strong supporter of library services. And as Peter and I talked about it, I think the benefits that he's discussed and the benefits that he's outlined, I think are accretive to our community. Not only, obviously it is a long journey, but it's accretive to the community and to the long-term development and growth of this community. And I think that having that sort of control, as well as the financial transparency over how it operates and how it works, and as you said, hopefully it's a source of employment for more Unionville residents. I think that's a wonderful, wonderful thing. And obviously we encourage and we're looking for volunteers and for folks to join us. We'd like very much for this to be a grassroots community organization and something that gets feedback from all directions. And obviously that sort of, when you get feedback from every direction, obviously it's invaluable. The perspectives are critically important. And that's something that Peter and I talked about as well, and something that we're eager to move forward with.
So that is as I said, is the first step on a journey, but it's one that we're enthusiastic about, and we wanted to share our thoughts with the board and keep everybody posted as it begins to get developed.
That's fantastic. Okay. Do any of you have any questions? What's your next step, do you think?
I think what we'd like to do is call a meeting in the near future. Of course, with Zoom, we can even do it virtually, but I think what would be the best thing to do is to find out who else might want to join us. And we'll figure out how to do that. And we will have a virtual meeting, discuss legally what we have to do to set up a 501(c)(3), begin to put together a budget, which would be helpful in understanding not only what our costs are, but fitting out the library and the services we'd give, that type of thing, and then see whether we can't make it a success.
And you're going to go out and literally try to raise money from individuals, residents, any
Lottery ticket.
profits might help us? Anybody else might help? A foundation, maybe?
Well, look, Betsy, I think it's, I think, Peter and I talked about that. I think there are more than a few, residents of Union Vale that I think would be more than happy and generous with their time and their resources to help us. And I think it's important when you're doing something that's community-based that, as we've seen, recently in politics, right? Small donations go a long, long way. And I think that's, and I think it's great to invigorate a community with that kind of thing. I don't think it necessarily needs to be a lot of, large donations. I think that, certainly we have our work, Peter, and we have a work cut out for us with regard to that. But I think, I think also, small donations and ideas to raise money around the community is pretty exciting.
That's great. Well, kudos to you for taking something like this on. It doesn't come, without controversy because there are, very passionate emotions surrounding libraries. But, it's when Peter first called me, which was months ago, and presented the idea, and we talked about him at some point coming to a town board meeting and explaining it to the rest of the board. One of the things that you said struck me. You said, you'll be surprised at how many small donations we get and how many people will be really interested in this. It sounded like you've done things like this before, but we're thrilled to have you. And you guys keep us posted as to how it's going and what the progress is, will you? You can come back anytime?
Absolutely.
Sure.
That's fantastic.
Thanks for your time.
Questions?
No, thank you.
No, just
Thank
great.
you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right, have a good night. We'll talk to you soon.
Right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. I know they both have meetings following this one on Zoom.
Let me just see how I can escape.
I think I better mute you now.
This meeting, I'm out of here.
Okay, bye,
I
Peter.
want-
Thank you.
Betsy, I want you to know that I had a community, the Dutchess Community Foundation had a meeting that started at 4 and finished about 20 minutes ago. So,
I knew it was tight. Thank you. That was very nice of you.
right,
Have a good
Bye-bye.
night, Peter.
yeah,
Bye now.
yeah.
Okay, well, that was lovely of them. Let me start with the supervisor's report. The tax collections in April were $101,212. Our penalties that obviously accrue to the town were a couple of months ago, $2,000. They're a little over $5,000 now. Remaining uncollected at the end of April was $555,000. And if those people, as you all know, we'd like to encourage people to please get that in, because if it goes over to the county, then you pay a 5% penalty tax, and we'd like to try to help people avoid that if possible. Consistent with my normal practice as the finance officer, the councilmen have all received their warrants and abstracts, cash receipts, escrow reports, building department report, and a list of all the deposits made in both the general and highway fund for the month. In addition, I'd like to report the cash balances on April 30th for 3.2 million in the general fund and 1.1 million in the highway fund. We have a bunch of vouchers sitting here tonight that town board members are signing, and that will go out. So those balances will be different next month, but that's what they are currently. From a cash flow perspective, we are at 97% of our budget. It's starting to go down, which I expected, and I'm sure the rest of the board expects. This time last year was at 99%. Cash inflows for the month of April were 110. Let me see, it's got, yeah, 110,000. And the cash inflows in this month last year were 462,000. So we are we are embarking in the middle of rather a pretty tough year, as we all are expecting. We do have some good news, which I have to say I was really impressed with. We got a letter from Comp Alliance. They're our workers' comp company, and Comp Alliance sent us a workforce reduction credit. They're pleased to announce it will be issuing a workforce reduction credit refund for all of our members for the 6-week period beginning March 16th through the end of April. We recognize and appreciate the extraordinary efforts our members have undertaken to continue to provide essential service to the public. And this includes work schedules changing, work duties, encouraging people working from home, et cetera, et cetera. And basically what they did, they sent us a 10% reduction check. So it's not much, it's $502 but we're putting it in the bank and we've never gotten a check back from, well, we had all those years with the county, never got a refund check from them, I should say. But so it's nice that they noticed that, you know, that our liabilities would have gone down and they sent us some cash. Now, I would like to also say with regard to updates, we're working on our reopening plan, but I want to make sure everybody knows that we are not closed. Basically, we are following the governor's executive order, which required us to have everybody work at home, but people are working. And we had a person recently tell the building inspector who was waiting and waiting for something from him. And he said, oh, well, I was just, you guys are closed. So I was waiting for town hall, and it was something that was very late. So he said, no, town hall's open. If you call here, you'll get the town clerk. If you hit extension 100, everybody else's phones are forwarding. So town hall, recreation are working from home. The highway guys are working every day per their regular schedule, as are the park people. And the recycling center, you guys have noticed, Wednesdays, Saturdays, and Sundays, they're working. So, you know, we are open, we are working, but we do have to have a reopening plan submitted to the county, which tells them what we're going to do and how we're going to operate in the same space, given the new world. And we're not even allowed to have residents come in for, it sounded like on one of our conference calls with the county executive and crew, it might not be until sometime in July. So there's still, a lot of these things are in flux, but our reopening plan will be completed soon. I'm going to be meeting with the department heads next week to contemplate some of the ideas that our insurance company sent us. But that will be involved people wearing masks. Nobody will be able to come into town hall without a mask. So all of those normal protocols will be in our reopening plan. We'll let you know when it's live, and we'll let you know when we're permitted to have people come in the building again. The vector security contract that we discussed last month was signed, and I have a report from George Kolb, who's going to update us about the CO that we're going for in number 2. That report will be shortly. Our solar project is still on track for sometime late July. I know they're waiting for phase 1 to open up. I heard on a conference call with the county executive today that he is very hopeful that Dutchess gets to open phase 1 this weekend. The governor was non-committal, but he said that we are now, Dutchess is now 7 out of 7 of the benchmarks that were required to meet, but that the other counties in the group that are still dragging it a little bit behind, but they're thinking that they're hoping that Governor Cuomo will let us go ahead and proceed with phase 1, and it'll be blasted everywhere when you'll all hear, because we'll all get that word, but we're hopeful it's this weekend. I did want to say that the Millbrook Central School District called this week to tell us they are doing an adorable parade with police cars and faculty cars and everybody, a lot of people involved with the senior class. Since they're not going to have a typical graduation, they are having a parade today. They had one, and tomorrow. And they're stopping by every senior's house and honking horns and getting out. And in some cases, I believe they're passing, in some towns, I don't think Millbrook is doing this, but they're actually handing out a diploma. But I want to alert everybody, because they did parts of Millbrook yesterday, and they're going to finish up, and they'll be doing Unionville tomorrow. So they're still parading tomorrow. So if you know any Millbrook seniors on your block, look for that parade and get out and cheer for them, would you? It's a nice idea. Also, I wanted to let everybody know that there's a pay it forward program that the Iron Furnace is putting together, and they are asking for donations. And they're going to have their chef. It's similar to the program that they started in Millbrook to feed people that might not be able to eat 3 meals a day or have access to that much food. And so they're putting the details together. I invited them to come and tell us about it when it's ready. But what they're basically going to do is set up a place. And they asked some of us if we wouldn't mind volunteering, help give out maybe 1 meal a day around 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, maybe 2 o'clock, they haven't decided. But so those that are having difficulty getting food or aren't eating regularly will have a place. It's going to be in Burbank. And there is one in Millbrook that's actually huge. I mean, they've started out at 40 meals a day. They're up to 156. And then people come and grab them in 10 minutes, they're gone. So they thought that it would be nice to extend it into Burbank. It's all Millbrook Central School District again. And so the Iron Furnace is working on that. And if we're not having a town board meeting before they want to kick off, we'll put it in a Unionville mail and let people know. But I told them a few of us would volunteer to give it out to if they wanted. And that was really it. We have a lot going on with reopening, and we have a lot going on with our projects and with summer camp that we're going to talk about tonight. And I think that at this point, I'm going to stop until we get to those later items and turn it over to our board member reports. And I'll start with Councilman Frazier.
I have nothing this week.
Okay, Councilman McGivney? Did you want to, anything you want to say? How about, why don't we go with Councilman Durland and we'll come right back to you, Kevin? Do you have to unmute?
Sorry. My apologies. I don't really have much to add other than that's your speaker.
Mine's off.
They were too close.
Turn your microphone off, I'll have a speaker.
This one.
No, mute your microphone.
Oh, my, okay, got it.
I'll have a speaker.
Gotcha. Done.
Okay. All right, great. I don't really have much to add other than I just, when you were talking about that iron furnace thing, that sounds like a great idea. I'd be happy to volunteer for that. And then, of course, the summer camp is the big thing that I think we'll be talking about. So
Yes,
I'll be,
we'll
Yeah.
have a nice conversation about that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kevin. All right. Kevin McGivney, Councilman McGivney, would you like to report on anything or?
No, just, well, I just want to say that it's good to see that we met the 7 out of 7 metrics. Hopefully things will start to open up pretty soon. Still, I would say continue to practice good hygiene and be careful out there, but I think we're getting towards the tail end of this thing. Hopefully that's what we are doing. But that's all I say.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that. At this point, I would like to ask our highway superintendent, Mr. Ed Kading, to report. I just want to. Oh, there you are. They can't see you. Sorry, John. Councilman Welsh, you actually have a,
Yeah, I'd like to say a few things. First of all, I'd like to alert residents that because of guidelines we received from the governor's office and from the county, it was decided recently that we will not be having our normal Memorial Day parade and service on the green as we usually do this year, only because of the current COVID-19 virus. That's the only reason, and because of the stipulations that are specified by the state and county. In addition, I've been very aggressively following all the state guidelines and county guidelines so I could effectively vote on our plans for summer camp and other things, knowing all the restrictions that would be placed on us. And I know that's later in the meeting, the public will find out the results of our concerns about running our camp and our park this summer.
that's it.
That's it.
Very good. Thank you very much. Sad about the, I did hear though, that the flowers are going to be posted on Saturday. They're going to be put.
Yeah, they're not subject to the virus. So
Yeah, Lizette's going to carry them over herself because of that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's nice. Thank you, John. All right. At this point, we're going to move into our highway superintendent's report. Mr. Katie? Let's just do a sound check. I was to make sure. Can we hear him? John, Jeff? No. Jeff, can you hear?
I could barely hear him. I could, but it was very light.
Somebody's got to turn the speaker on.
Can you, Jeff, can you hear Ed Kading speak?
If he's speaking right now, I cannot, no.
Because he's not speaking right now.
Try again.
Can you hear me now?
Very lightly. It's enough so that I can tell what he's saying.
You want to come over here? Yeah, that's fine too. Okay.
Talk to Kevin.
Switch. 6 feet.
It's gotta be 10. All right, you gotta turn your microphone.
Mine's on.
Where's that coming from? No. Over here.
Come on, sorry, it's
Mine's on mute. Mine's on mute. It's the one thing that about Zoom that's working.
Try turning your speaker on. While he's talking.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, highway report for this month. We finished all of our blacktops for the 2020 season. We paved Bloomer Road, did a we also did the same process on Jordan Court. We ground the road up, injected cement into the ground asphalt, put it back in place, graded it, compacted it, and then we asphalted over that. And we're working on shouldering that. And again, soil and water will hydro seed the shoulders of that road. We did have a little extra in our budget. So we took opportunity to pave Pleasant Ridge Extension. We didn't do the full treatment. We didn't feel the road needed that. So what we did is called shim and level, where we just leveled out the low spots in the road and then we put an asphalt top over that. So that road is done. Starting June 1, we are scheduled for oil and chip of Quinley, Still Road, and Manila. That process will take approximately 3 days max. So if you were a resident of any one of those 3 roads, be aware they're going to have loose gravel on the road. And we'll do our best to limit the process and the time it's going to take. Quinley will probably be closed during the process, so be aware of that. Other things that are going on. We're also oil and chipping the section of Mallory that was paved last year as well. Let's see, what else we got though? The salt shed is in dire need of a new roof. So I've got 2 contractors pricing that out for us, and we're going to see who wins the bid for that. Let's see. Oh, I have the Masons in Pleasant Valley, the Shikamiko Lodge.
Chicomico?
Yeah,
Chicomico.
okay. They want to do it adopt the highway in town. They want to do Duncan Road out here from Pleasant Ridge Road
Oh,
to the town line. So we're waiting for logistics on how to make that happen. These guys are really excited about getting it done. So that's about all for the highway report.
I've been busy.
Be patient, there's only 4 guys.
You guys are doing a great job.
Yep,
Yeah.
always.
Congratulations, you got all the paving done. And it's
Yeah, the only
before Memorial Day weekend, which is great. And I think the other,
town I see
that's,
getting it done like that.
yeah. The other thing that's important that Ed and I have been talking about is getting all of that in and done, which was a great idea because we're a little concerned about the CHIPS program and we're hoping that we don't get hit with a curveball from the governor who decides in the middle of the year to all of a sudden cut it.
Yeah.
So we're racing to get all of our receipts in to get that, collect that CHIPS money back, which is, for those of you who may not be familiar, it's just money that the state reimburses us for fixing roads, and there's been a lot of rumors about them cutting it this year. I hope, I don't know why they would, I heard it was bonded, and if they try to cut it, they're only gonna get 25 cents on the dollar, but you know, you never know. So thank you, Ed, that's great work, and I know you get calls every day. You send the guys around wherever they're called to, but no, we appreciate it. We really appreciate getting that paving done. So next up would be our town clerk. Would you want to share some insights with us, Andrea?
Yeah, so as you were mentioning earlier, I just want to encourage all the residents that do need any services at town hall to simply call. You know, we all have our phones forwarded to our cell phones so we can answer them, you know, regardless of where we're sitting in our home. The other part to that is we can also come down and do what we need to for you immediately. You know, to the best of our ability, we are being respectful of others and taking turns in town hall, but please call if you need anything. We're more than happy to help you. Our recycling center is doing very well. We are up to 416 resident passes and 349 resident passes. So that is
Great. Thank you. That is an area that we've seen an increase in.
Yes,
So people must be at home cleaning.
yes.
Okay, now we'll go to some departmental reports. Starting with Parks, Councilman Frazier.
Yes. Okay, progress is being made in bringing number 2 Timemore Park Road up to the code because the CO upstairs bathroom door that used to swing over the stairs has been converted to a sliding barn style door with modifications made so that it's private. The floor in the downstairs bathroom is being replaced, toilet removed, and new plywood installed on the floor with new laminate tile. Crown Energy has fixed the vent on the exterior of the home as per George's request, and the remaining projects are underway. The mowing season is in full swing and keeping everybody super busy with that. Adam focused on the Equestrian Center, and in speaking to Loretta, we've worked out that we could clean up the area by removing and storing the majority of the jumps that have been stacked up there for some time. Said jumps have been moved to the long barn, so they're stored indoors now, out of the weather. Next on the list for the Equestrian Center is to fix the leaning fence on the south side of the rink. Tom installed the bird boxes that were donated by the CAC throughout the park. I passed a list of locations along to the CAC, I'm sorry, on 519 so that they'll be able to check the boxes throughout the park, you know, on the progress of fruiting. The plows and the sander have finally been stored for season, even though there have been some chilly nights. We have 2 more doors to replace in the building that holds my office. That would be Jake's office. This is next on the list when the weather finally starts to cooperate.
Great, thank you very much. They've been hard at work. Next up, Recreation Department. Basically, they asked me to reiterate, you know, we're all on Zoom every day during the week having lots of discussions about recreation and about park maintenance and everybody's meeting regularly to stay up with their work. But we wanted to make sure that the residents knew that, and I think it's obvious that we're not going to have Community Day, which the board, we mentioned at last month's meeting, I think. We're also not going to have Community Night, which is unfortunate. At one point, we were talking about moving Community Night out to maybe July. And I know that on the county calls, they are really discouraging any mass gatherings, even in July, maybe in September. I mean, they're not giving us dates yet, but it was completely discouraged. And our town clerk, Andrea, and I have discussed it. And typically the fireworks, which are quite expensive, as everybody knows, are contributed by all of our businesses, our sponsors and businesses. And we just felt like this wasn't the right year to be asking for contributions. So because of those 2 issues, the Community Night and Community Day have both been canceled for 2020, unfortunately. That being said, they're working on some really fun plans for 2021, which they'd like to start coming in and unveiling in September, we hope, as things start coming in. Everybody's really optimistic and sad about this year, but looks like the next thing we have on our town calendar is going to be Oktoberfest, unless we come up with some smaller things that people, some of these various departments want to do, like Food for Thought. The CAC wants to have, you know, lectures and things where a small group come and spread out. Anyway, so some of those are on deck, but stay tuned for the Recreation Department. They've got a lot cooking for 2021, and we'll see you at Oktoberfest. Building Department, Mr. Kolb was, he's been asked to give us a CO for the number 2 house, and he submitted this report for us tonight. The parcel at number 2 has been re-inspected for compliance issues. Items from my previous report have been completed with the exception of the following. The front entrance hand railing will still need to be installed. Jake is currently working on this. The electrician is scheduled to begin work possibly this Friday, 5/22, or the beginning of next week. Scheduling with the utility company for disconnection and reconnections has still not been finalized. Once completed, the building will need to be re-inspected by Z3 Electrical Inspection Agency. Occupants will be notified when this work is confirmed, as there may be a slight delay in service while the work is being done. Vector security will need to be scheduled for its installation of the fire detection system. And I know they're working with Jake and the electrician on getting that scheduled. Once these 3 items are completed, the required certificate of occupancy will be issued by this office. All work has been coordinated with Jake Gosnell for access and scheduling for these contractors. Please contact my office with any further questions. So thank you, Mr. Kolb. He's getting that done. And our tenants, the 2 RAs have moved in. The rest of the tenants aren't expected till maybe late August. And we had said that we had needed time to work on the CO. And I think I believe we gave ourselves until July. And we're certainly going to have this done in early by mid-June. So we're compliant with our lease, and I think the tenants are very happy. So thank you to George and Jake for that. Next up, old business, replacing library services for Unionville residents. We have I'm waiting, we're getting a proposal that hasn't been finalized, and I was hoping it would come in today, and it wasn't here today. But basically, I know that some people are confused, but when the libraries, and I heard through an email, I haven't been told specifically, when the libraries put the town residents on restriction, it doesn't preclude anybody from going into the libraries, because we are big supporters, obviously through our taxes, of the Mid-Hudson library system. And as a result, everybody can go into those libraries. They will be put on restriction for certain things as a result of those certain things, like video streaming, for example, that the local taxpayers pay for. And those are the things that we are looking to replace for our taxpayers at the time that they may not be. Nobody's told us officially that we're going to be on restriction. But should we be, our intent is to replace those services to give our residents access on an interim basis. And I would like to remind everybody that while the board was quite concerned financially, because the $80,000 requested by the libraries for this year would have been a little over 7% of our tax levy, which is an incredibly high number. We did offer in December, Millbrook and Beekman, the 2 libraries that we spend the most time with, we offered to pay Beekman $37,000. We sent them a letter. We offered to pay Millbrook, I believe it was 24 or 28, somewhere in there. I don't have the letter in front of me. And both of those libraries sent us rejections back, not accepting those funds. And then we had a subsequent meeting, and we were told in that meeting, John Welsh and I went over to this meeting, assuming we were going to hopefully have a negotiation, because the group finally decided to get together. And there was no negotiation. There was a reiteration of their position, which is, that we should pay that money, and that it should increase every year. And they weren't, I would say, interested in commentary or budging at all. So we are here where we are, and we're going to do our best to replace those services on an interim basis. And when that proposal comes in, I'm going to share it with the town board immediately. Next up, this is interesting. So in the order of new business, we have the Pathfinder Academy, that elite soccer school that is being started, which sounds very exciting because they're going to spend 4 months in Spain. That group is going to have their school and their soccer fields elsewhere. And but they're going to use our number 2 as a boarding house for a small number of the young men and 2 RAs. Now, because of phase 1 not starting, these guys are behind in the renovations that Camp New Teaming, which is the Boy Scouts of America property. They are behind in renovating the schoolhouse. So this is not official yet, because Colin McComb and he called me on the phone and said, throw this out. And I said, I want to share it with the board. And then when you're ready to move forward, and I've got to show him a couple of things, and then we'll talk. But his proposal is, everybody remembers we had George Kolb go in and review the house in number 11 and give us a list of things that it might need if these guys were interested in it being a schoolhouse temporarily. And it needs things like exit signs, it needs a handrail, it needs all the exit doors, the living room stuff, needs some steps, which could be used. We were talking about using stones, not pouring concrete. Anyway, that list that every town board member received from Mr. Kolb, which had to do with the electrical panel being in good condition. It needs some GFI protection, emergency exit only signs, that sort of thing. He gave us a list. I'm going to share this with Colin McComan. What Colin is asking is if he fixed everything in the house, everything that George Kolb had put on this list that we all received May 1st. If he fixes everything, which is a lot of exit signs and stuff, could he have 1 month's free rent? And then if he goes into the second month, pay us $2,400 for the second month. He needs a month to month to teach for classrooms. This would make it compliant for classrooms. And if he fixes all of these things, he's asking that if he fixes it, could we give him a free month? And he'll know soon, once phase 1 starts, when the classrooms will be ready. And then he said he would pay us $2,400 for the second month. So would you just think about that? And then when we get the formal the proposal from him, at this point, I'm giving him George's official list and having him, we didn't put any prices to it, but it's not an extensive list. And then he'll come back to us officially.
So that would only be occupied while classes are in session. It's not like a dwelling or a residence.
Right. Yes. So their classroom is over at 4:30 every day. So
And do we know whether that building has a CO?
it does not, because both of them were pre-zoning and the town never enforced it for our own buildings.
Okay, I think that's something we ought to consider looking at as well, not necessarily for this, but for future rentals for the same reason that we got the CO
Yeah.
for number 2.
Yeah, to be safe. And George went over there on May 1st with this list, and he talked to me about the CO, but he said if we wanted to go that route, it wasn't going to be a problem. That house is in different condition. So, all right,
In terms of getting or trading, is that something that we can do?
getting our trading.
Like can we trade services like that? Is that something that the town? can
Well,
do?
yes, because what he's offering here costs money. So what he's going to be paying for that, yes. So, I mean, we have to work it out, and we work it out with Jeff Battistoni on how we structure a temporary month-to-month lease.
Yeah.
See, even if you went into a third month, what he's offering is the $2,400 from then on, and but yeah, those details we can work out.
The restrictions around right now, that be allowed to have a school for him, with the current restrictions around.
Well, the people there are schools, so yeah, he's allowed to have that. I think where he's going to run into, yes, he's definitely allowed to run that. I sent something over to the county on his behalf about soccer practice. And there's more of an issue with them agreeing that they're not agreeing yet that it's a low contact sport like tennis or golf, because they're thinking about doing drills where they're 10 feet apart and they never touch the ball. And he's got a very nicely written protocol set for considering it. And that's where we're having a little bit of a stumbling block. But as far as and a lot of their stuff is online. And if they're if they're here temporarily, they have to spread out by 6 feet and they have to wear masks if they come in contact with each other that's less than 6 feet. So that's not the issue for him, because he thinks he can manage it in that house because there's 4 bedrooms upstairs. And they're going to be using computers like this. So if somebody's teaching in the dining room, these kids are going to be spread. There's no more than 20 kids.
Yeah, I mean, I only asked, all schools, private, public, so I didn't know if it was an issue.
Yeah, and I haven't heard what they're doing. This is not starting till September, but I haven't heard what, no, September. But it'll be interesting to see what everybody does in September. I know some of the colleges have said they're waiting till January. So anyway, but if it changes, we'll talk about it here. But right now it's looking okay. Okay, so that was an interesting request by one of our current tenants. Reopening of town government, I think I covered that already. At this point, I would like to just share with everybody that next August is the 50th anniversary of Timor Park being given to the town of Unionvale. And our recreation department is very excited about that. And I said it would be very important to get town residents involved with helping us plan a really fun year, especially given the year that we're going through this year. So we'd like to, I really would like to have a group of residents on an ad hoc basis come join the recreation department or work separately to kind of filter up a bunch of ideas that the town board can have fun evaluating. So I want to mention that now, August of 2021, 50 years with Time Warner Park. And there's a lot that can be done because there's a lot of history over at Vassar. There's a lot of fun things that they want to do. I'll let them share them with you later, but they're very excited about trying to plan that. So we're asking for residents who may want to join in with our rec department. So let me put that out there and we'll talk about it. As time progresses, we'll get more and more official, but please start thinking about it and we'll talk about it in a few months. At this point, I think we should go right to resolutions and motions. We have one resolution tonight, and then we can, during the discussing of that, we can cover a few things. So, Councilman Durland, do you mind reading Resolution 2024?
Sure. Resolution 2024, resolution authorizing the cancellation of Time Warner Park Summer Camp and Pool for the summer of 2020. Whereas COVID-19 or coronavirus disease started in 2019 in China and has since spread to over 177 countries, killing 325,000 people and sickening over 4 million in a matter of months. And whereas due to the highly contagious nature of coronavirus, on March 7, 2020, the governor of New York issued an executive order number 202 declaring a state disaster emergency for the entire state of New York. And on March 13, 2020, County Executive Mark Molinaro declared a state of emergency for Dutchess County. Whereas the town of Unionville has operated a summer day camp for over 25 years, where 120 or more children can visit Time Warner Park daily to pursue creative, athletic, and intellectual activities, guided by a large staff of counselors, lifeguards, and camp directors. And whereas given by the unprecedented public health circumstances, it is apparent that the town board cannot guarantee the safety of the children or our staff if we opened and operated our summer camp and pool in 2020, even with the required face coverings for every child over the age of 2, social distancing, restrictions on attendees based on health conditions, massive disinfecting, additional hygiene requirements for campers, and limited camp activities. There are too many aspects of running camp that are out of our control, and that includes making sure that our campers actually have a fun experience. Therefore, be it resolved that the town board of the town of Unionville hereby declares the cancellation of summer camp and the cancellation of the opening of the swimming pool for in Time Warner Park for the 2020 season as a preventative measure for the safety of our camp staff and camp families.
Discussion? Thank you, Steve. Is there a discussion? We have some updates about this.
You have some updates?
Well,
I just
we all
want to
do.
mention that, this is something we talked about among ourselves, and knowing the regulations that are out there and the risk to the kids at the camp and the counselors and everything put together. It's not something we took lightly. It's something that we really looked hard into, and that for the benefit of everybody involved, was inevitable. We had to make this decision.
Yeah.
It was a very unpleasant decision to make, but I think all of us realize the negative impact it'll have, but it's unavoidable.
I agree. And I just want to say that this week, we wanted to make sure that our staff is taken care of. And so we wanted to alert them early enough to hopefully get some new positions. And then, of course, we wanted the parents to know. We wrote a letter to the parents, and there was a Zoom meeting that our camp director, Shelley Knight, had. And I think there were 40 people on that Zoom call. And when after I explained to them what was going on, I left the room and they were on the phone on Zoom for an hour. I came back and they were weeping. I mean, these kids love working at Time Warner Park, and the camp director loves having them, as do the rest of the recreation staff, Stephanie Doherty and Jake, everybody. So it was very emotional for them. But nobody could figure out a better way of keeping everybody safe, and thought it was going to be a summer camp riddled with counselors yelling at kids to put their masks on, and that sort of thing. And we just didn't feel comfortable with it. I will say that we had the best start of summer camp we've ever had before, and we will be refunding $107,000 which is a big deal because we had a great head start. And what we're doing is we've sent the letter out to the parents, and as soon as they write us to tell us they want the refund, the check's going out the same day. So we can just keep up with those and we want them to know that we're very efficient here, and we hope they plan on coming back next year because everybody's hoping to have them. But it was a tough week.
I'd just like to add that we did put a lot of thought into this, because we realized that, there's not much for the kids to be doing, with this episode going on. But we just found that the restrictions handed down by both the state and the county were going to put too much responsibility on our staff.
So true.
It wasn't a good situation to be in.
No, and interestingly enough, I'll say, I don't know if you heard Governor Cuomo today. He has not provided the state guidelines yet. We had county guidelines. We have not gotten the state guidelines, which we thought might have changed all the county ones. And then today in his press conference, he said that, and he made this off the cuff remark, which leaves everybody hanging, that he wouldn't send his daughter away to a sleepaway camp. So he's not sure if he wants to send other kids away to a sleepaway camp either. But then he still hasn't given us guidelines and nobody knows exactly what he's going to say. It's not good to be in limbo up until the day camp starts. So I think being a little more advanced and giving people notice is probably more helpful. He might not know how much work goes into it, but a lot of work does. So we'll see what happens. Some towns may decide to have camp. And they might, now in addition, we're not opening the pool. And some towns are not opening pools and some are opening beaches. I know that a couple are opening this weekend. But the guidelines for the pool were to limit the access, 10 people or so at a time. So you'd have to ask people every hour, would you please, maybe it's time, do you mind leaving because the next group's at the gate? Or, disinfecting all the furniture all the time, or it just got, as Councilman Frazier said, it was cumbersome, and the staff and the town board were unanimous, I think, on this, which was nice, that everybody thought it was better to keep our people safe.
Yeah, I agree. And even as a father of one of the campers,
Yeah.
I was really looking forward to it. It's unfortunate, but we just had to do it.
Yeah. All right. So can we have a roll call vote on this resolution, please?
Councilman Frazier,
Aye.
Durland,
Aye.
Councilman Welsh,
Aye.
Supervisor Moss.
Aye. So resolution 2024 for the summer of 2020, canceling Time Warner Park Summer Camp and Pool passes. Okay, at this point, I'd like to have a motion to pay all the bills that are sitting on the tables as people have finished signing vouchers. Can we,
Moved.
Second.
all in favor of paying the bills?
Aye.
Excellent. Thank you very much. I'd also like to say that we have been given, submitted through email, comments from Glenn Morrison, Mimi Tannen, Karina Kelly, and Sue Kilcrease that I am going to hand to the town clerk and ask her to please attach those to the record. I'm going to be reading those out loud, but they will be attached to the record. And after those will go in when the minutes are published, they will be part of them. And that being said, at this point, we're going to go into an executive session, and then we're going to adjourn the meeting. The executive session is a personnel issue. We're not going to take any action, but we do have to talk about a few things. So I'm going to ask for a motion to move into executive session, and then we will come back to adjourn the meeting.
I'll make the motion.
Second, all in favor? All right, let's go into executive session. And we will be back as soon as we finish this discussion. To adjourn. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Let me just see. I'm not sure exactly.
Yeah. Since you're leaving, we don't have to meet the other room. Since you're leaving, we don't have to go to the other room. Thank you.
Bye, Ed. Talk to you tomorrow. Okay, at this point, everybody is, yeah, hang on a minute. It's off, and I have mute all. Is everybody muted?
I just closed my laptop.
Yeah, we're gonna have Jeff in here.
So have what?
Jeff, you're down in the lower left corner.
Yeah, hang on. I'm on a different page, so let me just.
Supervisor, can you hear me?
If we're on executive session.
Whoops.